Welcome to Pick Central, Barstool's daily gambling show. Today is How to Check Thursday. I cheated. Thursday, January 25th. Joined with myself is Smitty, Clemmer. We got Jason in the booth. We got Diego here. Meek Phil. Thursday.
I was telling Meek Phil, I love his hoodie. That's a sharp hoodie.
And what is it? A Mets hoodie?
Yeah, but I like the blue and it just looks good. It's a good look.
I like meat. I like the hat and glasses. He always wears the glasses.
Hey, yeah, isn't that a sharp hoodie?
There we go, Phil. Yeah,
there you
Phil,
go.
One of his best Mets for this lovely Thursday.
That's right.
So we'll start off. Obviously, we'll get into games. We're gonna get some obviously, the games this weekend. We'll get into some dig deeper in some props. I got one that I was searching last night that I like, but probably the biggest story of at least last night. Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers. What a shame. Just it's a damn shame he has to leave Michigan knowing that he lost Ohio. He was 3-5 against Ohio State. Never settled the score, unfortunately. It's a tough pill for Michigan fans to swallow. For Harbaugh, I'm sure to swallow, he's going to have to just put that one to bed. Tough, Smitty.
You're doing what you can to survive, and I appreciate it. I appreciate a good survival story. That's it.
I felt bad for you in that monologue there. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I know it's been a tough couple of years.
It hasn't been great.
I felt for you.
It hasn't been great, but I predicted this in the middle of the season when people weren't as
Oh, you've been saying it for a while.
Just the second there was big sanctions, I was like, this is just what college success. And I'll give them what successful college football coaches do. We saw Pete Carroll do it. We've seen a ton of guys do it. You get the sanctions are coming. Calipari. We've seen in college too. They're beating down the door. Great opportunity. And listen, the Chargers, obviously, great opportunity. You got a lot of talent on the roster. You have as much as one of our co-hosts who's not here that criticizes him the most, and I've criticized him as well. I think he's deserving of so. But obviously, Herbert's crazy talented. A lot to like there.
Ooh, Herbert's the biggest winner in this situation.
Yeah,
I think so too. But also a lot of pressure on him. But you're right.
Yeah, but I think now, A, there's no excuses going forward, and B, everything else is going to be, if not fixed, better.
The thing that he did a great job at Michigan was, we've seen too many of these like offensive gurus and like these young, which we had some that have success like McVay and these guys. They try to get sometimes, I think, too cute with like Kingsbury, where they have like personnel and things like that. But if you have a good offensive line and a good defensive line, it's hard for your football team to be bad. It's almost harder for it to be bad if you're good in the trenches. Even if you don't have like the most talented quarterback, even if you don't have like the greatest skill position players, you're gonna be like rock solid.
I saw that with the Colts.
unless
Colts this year were that.
Yeah, unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles in the last 6 games of the season.
They were bad on defensive line.
They got gassed on defensive line.
Good offensive line though. The offensive line they definitely always.
But the talent there on the defensive line should have been there.
Yeah, it's true. I don't want me to make this about the Eagles, but you're right.
No, but that's
the first thing I texted Kenjack was I'm really excited to see Herbert with a good coach. We haven't seen that yet.
He has. He's definitely done well developing quarterbacks. And he was the guy who I don't know if you can give him the credit for. He obviously coached Andrew Luck in college. He's hasn't had like the greatest guys at Michigan until obviously McCarthy now is highly likely going to be a first-round pick. But he did a good job even in San Fran with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah,
like he's done a lot of good things with. He's won. He finally won the big one, obviously this past season, but he's won really everywhere he's been. So I'd imagine he is going to be successful. This is me taking my Ohio State hat off. I'd imagine he's going to be successful with the Chargers. Like I said, a ton of talent there. Herbert. I'd imagine. If you look at, they've just had the worst coaches ever. Just from Lynn. Who was the one before Lynn? You went from Lynn to Staley. There was one before
Vance.
Lynn. Was it Vance that was before him?
Wasn't it?
You might be right. He was, but just Lynn to Joseph.
But even Schottenheimer, all-time coach, obviously, who never won anything. Yes. He didn't do much there besides get the number 1 seed.
That's what he always did. He was great in the regular season, and the playoffs come, and poor Marty has a tough time.
Yeah, they always. I feel like it was the defense wasn't. They just always somehow in the playoffs, LT was just always hurt.
Yeah. Or
Rivers literally playing through a torn ACL. The one
terrible special teams. I know Nate Kading missed I remember the Jets. The Jets beat them because they missed clutch field goals.
Did Rivers ever make a championship game?
If
one, right?
I was gonna say I thought maybe one.
Did he make one the year he was hurt?
Oh, did he make it against the Patriots and they got blown out?
Yeah, but he was playing on like one knee, right, or something, or
I know there was
one elbow
I know,
or something.
I know there was
really
the one when like LaDainian Tomlinson really started getting criticism was that one when Rivers he literally was playing through a torn ACL. Was out there literally on one leg, and LT had like I forget exactly injury. It was like an ankle or something, and they just kept like showing him on the sideline, just no helmet on, with his shoulder pads, just like sitting there, and they're like, this guy's literally putting his life on the line out there in Rivers.
LT was so good though.
Special.
He was so good, and for like 3 years, Sean Merriman was the greatest football player you will ever
with
see.
Steroids.
Yeah,
incredible. He had the great dance and
not 3
everything.
years, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
Until Maurice Jones-Drew ended him.
Obviously, Danny Thomas is a Hall of Famer, but I miss that era of running back sometimes.
Yeah. No, I do too.
It was like they did I think for the dozen, one of the new segments they're doing where you're going to pick all the boxes.
Yeah.
And it was like all the guys that led the NFL in rushing through the 2000s. And there's so many like fun guys, like even now that you forget, like a Sean Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
Who, like you had it was an
Scoring
MVP,
5 touchdowns a game.
Like what do you have LT ended up breaking his record, but he scored like 29 touchdowns or something this season.
Priest Holmes had a stretch where he was incredible, like,
and then they just went from him to Larry Johnson.
Yes,
like they had so many like
Charles.
Yes, Jamal Charles.
Yeah, probably the best of them all.
Yeah, does he still lead NFL history in yards per carry?
I think he does. I'm pretty sure he does.
He's up there.
Chubb's coming for it.
Yeah,
he's like shout out our guy Ebo in Chicago now, but he was always the biggest like that. Chubb's the most like underrated. Ever. He literally, I think he's like he's like right there with Jamal Charles for like yards per carry in NFL history with like a certain minimum.
All right, I have a question for you, Evan. I need you to not be biased here.
I will.
So everything I see right now is Ohio State's getting all of these guys in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Mix that with McCarthy leaving and now Harbaugh leaving.
Yep.
Serious, not biased. Like, where do you put the Ohio State, Michigan? Like, where is it? Where's the stack up right now at this very moment?
I mean, they just won a national title, so obviously they have the upper hand for sure, and they beat us 3 years in a row. But I would say, this is me, the pressure. I don't know if a coach has ever had more pressure in college football history than Ryan Day has this season. Because it's not even just the transfer portal. Basically, besides like 2 guys, and one of them being Marvin Harrison Jr., who just couldn't come back. Like his stock cannot get any higher than it is. He's going to be he's a guarantee. I'd pretty much say guaranteed first non-quarterback taken in the draft.
Everything I've seen,
almost just a lock. Like he's going top 5, no doubt. Top 4, I'd say, no doubt. Literally, the entire like junior class from last year, coming senior class, came back, and we're talking like numerous, like I would say how many? I'm trying to count that. At least like pretty much all of them could have got drafted, and like in the top like 3 rounds.
Yeah,
for the most part, that came back. I mean, from like from Denzel Burke to like JT, those 2 guys could have been potential like first rounders. Like I'd say late first rounders, especially I think they have good tape, would have done well in like the combine stuff. From them, like Jack Sawyer, like Travion Henderson, good chance he would have been the first running back taken, probably a second rounder. Like so many of these guys came back with they all basically made Tyleek Williams, D tackle, phenomenal. All these guys basically made like a group decision. Like we do not want to be the class that never beat Michigan. They all turned down the NFL. They came back, and then mixed with getting Will Howard, Judkins, Caleb Downs, all these guys. Like we have to win. We on paper we're the best team in college football coming in next year. I'm sure Georgia's going to be really good. There's going to be some other really good teams, but on paper our defense should be so fucking talented. We were one of the best. We were probably the second best defense in the country this year, besides Michigan. And we brought back literally everyone, and then added Caleb Downs, who's maybe like one of the best defensive players in college football, and then added him as well.
Say you get, theoretically speaking, I know we love our hypotheticals, Clemmer.
Yes.
Say Ryan Day is alive and exists.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 ranked team going into the playoffs, 12-team playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it to the semifinals and loses.
Disaster.
So is he gone?
I don't know about gone, but it's a disaster. He has to beat Michigan.
Let's say he beats Michigan regular season.
Okay.
That would help him a lot.
And then Smitty's hypothetical.
It still would be like horrible because I think just the team has such like the what did I say, the ceiling is the roof. What was that phrase? Like I mean, the team has so much talent. Like the the potential is just so high.
Ceiling, yeah.
It literally just the way the roster is constructed and how much talent we added. Judkins, who was like the best running back in the SEC, with our like running back, who was like maybe the best running back in the Big Ten. You could argue Corum, but I mean, Trayvon Henderson's phenomenal. He's more of like an NFL prospect. I mean, it's just like an embarrassment of riches on both sides of the ball. If Will Howard can be as good as I think he can, some people are very like iffy on him. He was Kansas State quarterback. They won the Big 12 not last year, the year before. He's been good. I think he's an upgrade from McCord. Some people disagree or think that it's basically like a kind of like a lateral move, if you will.
Yeah.
I think he's more mobile. So I do think he brings more to the table. He's played more. Like you said, he won a Big 12 title. They beat that TCU team in the Big 12 championship game that beat Michigan in the playoff. Like I think he's a very good player. I think people are not giving enough credit for how good he is. But we're just so talented. Like this has to be the year. Like all the chips are in. All of them. This is the year. Have to be Michigan. Have to win the Big Ten national title. This team is natty or bust. We're that good.
If you're Michigan, are you happy with the coach they've chosen?
They haven't chosen yet, but
I thought they. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think they're going to just move Sharon Moore up, who's the offensive coordinator.
And he's the guy that filled in when Harbaugh was out, right?
Yes, and Harbaugh was suspended twice this year, so he coached 4 games as a head coach. Won all the games. Obviously, he beat Ohio State. So yeah, no, I think that, and I think I think that's probably who they should bring up. There's been talks of if they go after a big fish like Brian Kelly or somebody like that. I think they're more likely to just promote Sharon Moore. But they haven't said this yet either, or they haven't finalized this. I don't know if this is totally true, but Jesse Minter, who's Michigan's defensive coordinator, there's rumor that he's going to go with Harbaugh to the Chargers. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's been a lot of talk about that, and I could see it because he did a fucking incredible job with his defense, so I could totally see it, but that's not like fully decided yet. But yeah, so
I wonder too how this affects Belichick. So now Belichick had an interview with the Chargers. Chargers always seem to like Harbaugh more.
The smoke had been there for since
for Belichick. It's Atlanta or bust now.
I got to think you're right,
so
right?
too.
Like, he's not going to Carolina.
No, like what? Like of the jobs out there, what makes sense? And I think the only one that makes a lot of sense, or any sense, I guess, would be the Falcons. Right?
I would love the Cowboys to say Mike McCarthy's coming back and then just fire. Belichick.
It's like, Belichick wants to come.
Yeah.
See ya. So yeah, I think it makes sense too. I think Belichick goes to the Falcons. I said this. I think I said this to Smitty yesterday. I
don't know if that makes sense.
I think it's a bad fit.
Well, I would say it makes sense in terms of like he's just interviewed there multiple times.
Right. No. Right.
They had interviewed Harbaugh. Now he's out.
Like if I were him, he's old, obviously, but I maybe sit out a year now.
See, if I was the Falcons,
can you sit out a year?
I don't know.
The thing is, he's going to another team with a bad quarterback. It's like he
Yeah.
cannot win. Bill Belichick
draft
cannot
one,
win unless he has a Tom Brady, basically.
they could draft one though.
They could, but is that
They'd have to trade up if they wanted like
Yeah.
one of the big 3.
Or they
Belichick typically doesn't
maybe
trade
trade
up.
for Fields, and that's
That
like
too. You got to pay him though if you trade.
And the other thing, just as we were about to go on, it sounds like Minnesota's really starting to distance himself from Kirk Cousins even more. So it sounds like Cousins is going to be a free agent. So
That's what they could go that route.
You could do that.
that's
That'd be a very
Belichick. Cousins said, I will play for Bill Belichick."
That'd be a very Belichick move to like bring Kirk, which I think would be a good move. I like Kirk Cousins. I think people give him too much shit. I'd like to see him on a team with a Belichick coach defense and some weapons. How that would go.
Kyle Pitts might actually get some targets.
Yeah, that's
Belichick loves his tight ends.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows? Maybe a Brock Bowers falls to 8. Who's Georgia tight end, who's like unbelievable. I think like a top 5 talent. If you put the two of them together, I'm sure Belichick could do some good things with
Drake London's no
double
slouch.
tight. Drake London's very good. That's like they have real pieces there. Bijan's really good. Algiers like a good second back. A lot of the offensive line's pretty solid. Defense is improving, and obviously I think Belichick would help them go even further. I think he goes there. I'm such a Vrabel guy. I think they should hire Vrabel. But if they go Belichick, I think Carolina would make a lot of sense for Vrabel.
I wonder if that's where it's going to go. Because where else is he going to go?
Yeah,
these jobs are starting to close up. Like
all the rumor. It sounds like Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, is going to be the Commanders coach. It sounds like they're not even like really interviewing people anymore. It's almost like they have like a handshake deal that'll get announced basically the second the Lions get eliminated, whether that's this week or Super Bowl, whatever it is after Super Bowl. But yeah, that sounds like it's. I think Vrabel there makes sense because I think the Panthers are in a spot now. You've had like all these like 1 and done, 2 and done coaches. You need to commit to somebody.
Absolutely.
The only thing is they're in this weird spot where does Vrabel want to commit to Bryce Young because if you take that job, you kind of have to.
Oh yeah, he's your guy.
You have to. Like you trade all in. You don't even have a first round pick this year.
You are attaching your career to Bryce Young.
But on the other hand, it almost would give you more because someone like Vrabel, like I said, I think you're going to really commit to him. If after the next year after, you even put more around him, your offensive line gets better. If he's still bad, then Vrabel's saying, "Hey, like I didn't pick this guy. Your last guy fucked this all up. Your GM fucked this all up. Like let me take my guy and build around." Which I think they should, because I don't think you're going to do with this team, especially without having a draft pick. I don't think you're going to do the what like the Carolina did, or excuse me, the Cardinals did with like Josh Rosen. Like I don't think like he was the 10th pick. That was a different situation where you had the number 1 pick next year. They hired Kingsbury, Kyler Murray's there. He had coached him in college. It was just like a perfect match of like let's ditch Rosen, pick this guy up, cut our losses. They're not really in a spot to do that. Like
no, and also in fairness to Bryce Young, he's much better than Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen was like unplayable.
And Bryce Young, it's so tough. It's almost such a like throw the year in the trash. With the offensive line, just was atrocious. Weapons atrocious. Everything around him.
Coaching was not good.
Coaching bad. Just everything around him was just awful. I think it was impossible. Like I don't think Mahomes is taking that team to the playoffs. I think Mahomes is winning like a few games with a max. Like, that team is just god awful, top to bottom. But if Vrabel's a guy that can come in, make the defenses some pieces, make them better, fix it, long term thing. I think if they got their wits on right, they should have Vrabel. But their owner's also a total dipshit. So
the worst. It's crazy how bad that team is and how they don't have the pick.
Oh, dude, I mean,
they're gonna be so
awful.
bad next year.
It's just awful. Like the Bears just get 1-9 is unbelievable. But moving on, another big coach, and obviously Doc goes to Bucks. $40 million, Smitty.
You know, he's a top 10 coach of all time.
For it was like a 3.5-year deal, and there's still Budenholzer and Adrian Griffin, who they just fired, still in the payroll.
Yeah,
for a few more years, it sounds like.
And good for Glenn Doc Rivers. He maybe told him he didn't want to come back, and they backed up the Brinks truck and dumped it all on his front door. $40 million for 3 years after getting let go and just sitting on your couch and just
working for
yapping.
ABC.
Yeah,
he was calling and also Dave actually tweeted. I thought was a good point. I haven't watched some NBA. They dumped Van Gundy for Doc.
Yes.
Van Gundy was so much better.
Yeah. Van Gundy is a great
Doc was a snoozer on the broadcast, an absolute snoozer.
And then he bails.
And then, that's the thing. They dump Van Gundy for him, and then he bails a couple months into the season. It's out.
The sun always shines on Doc Rivers' ass. It's unbelievable. It always works out for that guy.
Unless you're up 3-1 in the playoffs.
No, but it doesn't matter. It'll still work out for Doc.
Get that bag.
It won't work out for the teams, but it always works out for Glenn Doc Rivers. Always.
Yeah, we'll work out for humanity, but Glenn Rivers is going to get
it. Doesn't. Yeah, the world could end, and he would somehow be on like a spaceship flying to a new planet.
I wish I almost had thought about this as like an exercise so we could have thought about it more beforehand. But has any other coach or really just got so much off just like one championship, like just decade, like now almost approaching decades, decade and a half ago.
A guy named Ralph Hoik. He managed the Yankees.
But also, Doc Rivers is on paper a good coach. On paper, regular season, he's going to get your team to the playoffs. He did it with the Magic when they didn't have much.
That's what I was going to say.
He won Coach of the Year with the Magic.
I was going to say he's always had a lot of talent, but that's a fair point. He has done some good ones.
He'll win and get you there. It's just might not necessarily the means might not justify the ends to how.
One ring. Yeah, has anyone had one ring? Because Houck won 2. Has anyone won 1 and carried it for a different?
And one with so much, one with a ton of talent.
A stacked team.
And listen, beat a great Kobe team, beat a great Kobe team, obviously, but still.
Did Lenny Wilkins?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Ever win one?
Yes, with Seattle.
He did. Okay.
The year I was born, and he carried that title, and he ended up coaching the most games in NBA history, right, or something like that.
He's got the most wins in NBA history. Right?
Yes. That's a great comp.
If Bosco was here, he would argue for Boeheim, even though he won the one ring with Melo, and coached forever. But they still would always make good runs, and he was somebody who I thought would make some lemons out of lemonade or make lemonade out of lemons a little bit. Like he would kind of take a team that like wasn't great. They'd be like a 10 seed, and all of a sudden they'd be in the like Sweet 16.
That's a fair one though. Like he did carry. Boeheim's not a bad.
I just like I just always break Rico just like always whenever any chance he gets to be like Boeheim lived off that one shot.
He's not entirely wrong.
He's not totally wrong.
But conversely, has there ever been a coach who won one that couldn't get hired afterwards? Like Schwitzer?
Oh yeah, Barry Switzer, Bob Brenly, the Diamondbacks manager. He never worked again. Switzer never worked again.
Billick?
But Billick
could have,
but didn't. Yeah, I think
I'm still shocked he never worked again. Because I thought Billick would get hired immediately, and he never did.
Yeah, I think he just kind of because he started doing NFL Network for a while.
I mean, another one too is like Bill Cowher never worked again, but
that's what I was going to say. He was another one who didn't want to.
His wife passed away. He wanted to raise his daughters.
I always thought Cowher was eventually going to come back, and then he just kind of.
I know he had, like I said, his wife, I think, was sick and then passed away sadly, and I think he had family
TV money helps, too.
Yeah, sure. I think he also loved doing it. Same with Jimmy Johnson, too. I mean, I know it's kind of different situation, but he obviously could have worked again, but he was like, why would I leave this job?
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson was...
He went to the Dolphins, obviously, but after that, he was like,
Yeah, fair.
Dicka is an example of how that one title carries you.
Yeah, and then just ruin the
with the Saints
for a while. Oh man, imagine someone doing that now.
People forget.
Oh my God!
People forget they
imagine if
trading an entire draft for a running back.
Imagine.
I don't have anything against Dicka, but people forget they carried Buddy Ryan on their shoulders off that Super Bowl.
Absolutely right.
Coordinator.
Also, he was. I think people forget. It's funny when I think of Dicka because weirdly, my grandpa kind of looks like him. They have like they're like the same. They're like the same age.
Yeah.
And I always just think I still like every now and then just think about that he was like a staple on ESPN.
Yes.
And he just like said something positive about Trump on Twitter, and he just got like we haven't heard from him again.
No, they canceled him quick.
Apparently, I've heard not to make it like. Apparently, I think he's getting a little older now. I've heard from like Chicago people around that he's maybe not doing like great.
Yeah,
he's just getting older. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, he won that title
he's got to be
40 years ago.
He's got to be what 80 or close to.
Oh, he has to. Yeah,
plus.
He won a title 40 years ago. You know, he wasn't that young of a coach.
Got a great cameo in Kicking and Screaming though.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy.
He's a great character.
Great cameo. But he's like he makes him the assistant coach. He's your juice box guy. Go get me a juice box.
That's right.
He brings Mike Dick onto his staff.
I haven't seen the movie in forever.
Oh, great movie. Shout out Byung-sun. We'll get into the games this weekend. Obviously, conference championship weekend. I thought we get into some props a little bit. We had the should be a lot of offense this week, I would think. We'll go with the first. We'll start with the first game. We'll go Ravens Chiefs. One that I had looked at that I like a lot. Seeing that obviously, so from the perspective of for the Ravens on offense, their bread and butter running the football. What the Chiefs defense does best. We've talked about how the Chiefs defense is much better, at least better, probably the best one they've had in Mahomes' era. The best thing they do with Snead and them is defending the pass, but they're susceptible to the run. I like Gus Edwards over 41.5 rushing yards. I was looking at that. I know it's tough because Justice Hill's been getting a lot of work, been getting a lot, and I could see like looking at some. I think his over under with like rushing and receiving is like 48.5. I like that too. But I think where the Chargers have been susceptible is running between the tackles, and I really think they're going to win this game and be up in the second half. And I think that the Chiefs are going to have to play from behind. I like Gus Edwards over 41.5 rushing yards. I think
so. It's 41.5.
Yes, and I think he's going to get some. I think he's going to get a fair share of touches. He always gets in that like it depends on the game flow.
Yeah,
but he usually gets at least like 10 to 15. And I think 10 in the spot like could be enough to get him there.
So he's gotten 10 or more the last 3 games. He's hit 40, 48, and 68 for rushing yards.
And I would say the Texans are they're much better against the run, especially on the interior. So that's where I thought that was one that I was kind of looking through. Him or Justice Hill, I think both have a lot of potential. With Justice Hill, I'd want to add the receiving yards as well.
Yeah,
because that's another thing too. They give up a lot of catches to running backs, and that's where I think Justice Hill can exploit it. We saw he had a very good game last week. He was definitely a big factor. Picked up some key first downs. They went to him quite a bit, gave him quite a bit of carries. So either targeting the Ravens running backs I like as well. Any ones that you stick out to? I'll go Clemmer. I'll go you first.
Yeah, I like. I think I talked about it last show, but Kelsey anytime touchdown. That's at plus 120 right now. I like that play. They went to him obviously the last game. The game before that they didn't. But if you look at the last 14 Chiefs playoff games, he has 16 touchdowns, something like that. So they go to him in the playoffs. So he's going to get his opportunities. Can he catch them? We'll see. Baltimore's defense is very good, but I like that one out. I also like the Chiefs over 20.5 points. I do think there's going to be some. I respect Baltimore's defense, nothing like that. But if you're telling me Pat Mahomes needs to get 3 touchdowns, I think he can do it. I think that team can do it. I think this is going to be a close game. This is a game I'm not super confident about. I'm on the Chiefs because it's plus 3.5 with that hook, but I do think that there will be some offense in this game.
What do you think, Smitty? Anything you like, Smitty?
I'm on the complete opposite side. I think it's going to be a very ugly defensive game. I'm all over the under. It's 44.5.
Yep.
I said it before, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like a 10-6, just like kind of just ugly, just grit slugfest. So naturally the props would all be unders, but if I'm looking at any props, like Harrison Buckner and Justin Tucker are both automatic.
I like that.
So any field goal overs or total points for them right now, it's 6.5 for total points for Buckner, 7.5 total points for Tucker. I take a shot on over for both of them, and field goals. I don't have the field goals up.
I have it right now. It's over 1.5 for Butker is plus 100. Yeah. Over 1.5 for Tucker is minus 125.
I mean, those are two.
I don't mind those.
Those are two plays for me.
Let me check the weather of that game though. I get nervous, in Baltimore.
Because I think even if they do move the balls, and both kickers are capable of knocking them up to 60.
For sure, absolutely, especially if the weather's decent.
So it says 80% chance of rain, high of 44, low of 38. I don't know what the wind situation is.
Rain definitely not.
The rain goes to kind of Smitty's point of kind of one of those ugly 10-6 games.
Yeah. I also just think too, like going off. I think just the game flow I'm kind of predicting here is that I really think like the Ravens are going to really stick to the run. Like that's really where I think they're going to try to beat them. And obviously just having I could see like obviously Lamar had a great running game last week. I think we see more. I don't know if he gets 100 yards again, but I think we see more. Like a lot of at least like I think we see at least 4 or 5 like designed quarterback runs and some stuff like that. The under this is one of those unders where I totally agree with you with the way it's like one of those where you look at the game and you're like, oh, Mahomes, Lamar, smash the over. And listen, if you did that last week, it was kind of a lower total as well. If you did that with Lamar, with Josh Allen and Mahomes, you were dead right. I mean, the game flew over. It was like over in like end of third quarter, early fourth quarter. Yeah, it easily. So I do understand, and that's the only part that gives me a little bit of pause.
Agreed.
But the way these two teams play, I want to take the under, but I don't know if I'm gonna have the balls to get there.
Yeah.
I agree with you. 10-6 obviously would be crazy, but I could easily see it being like 20-17 or like 20-14, 23-17.
Can you also see it like 30-24?
Like they're so good. It's hard to say like no. There's no chance that happens.
I'd almost not rather see, but I almost could see like the Ravens just running away with it. That's how well
that's what I could
it being like 40-20 at some point.
That'd be crazy, but I mean, hey.
I just don't think they're going to be made big plays, and I think both teams are going to get kind of stuffed in the red zone, and it's going to be a field goal off.
If you tell me this ends is a blowout, Baltimore wins. If you tell me it's close, then I think the Chiefs have the edge. Does that make sense?
Well, I think if one team was to blow the other out, I do think it'd be more likely the Ravens are the ones blowing them out.
I don't think the Chiefs are blowing anybody out.
They don't really play that style. They haven't. Besides like bad teams, and there's no bad teams left.
But even if it's bad teams, they don't.
They really, yeah. By the way, Lamar Jackson rushing yards, I'm seeing 70 or more plus 100. So you talk about kind of is Lamar going to run around a lot.
See, I think they're going to control him a little bit.
The Chiefs, you're saying? I'm
saying Spags, Steve Spagnuolo, and the Chiefs are going to contain him.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to stay away from that bet myself because this game I don't have a real feel on at all. I respect both teams so much. It's hard, and they both have really good defenses. This is a tough one.
Yeah, I love the Ravens so much, and they are just so good.
Is that about the Ravens or about the Chiefs? You know what I mean?
The Ravens. Okay. Like I just think they've been that dominant all season.
So that's more of a respect for Ravens, not disrespect for the Chiefs.
No. That's the part that gives me pause.
Yeah.
It's like that they have Mahomes on the other side, and he could just go be God on the other side and just do some crazy shit. But the Ravens have just been so good. Like their defense is just so elite. it's just hard for me to see like really. And let's be clear, this is an offense. This is not the offense for the Chiefs of like 2 years ago with Tyreek Hill. This is an offense that for most of the year has struggled. They're horrible in the red zone. I mean, just so many. They have so many flaws that Mahomes just bails them out of constantly. And I just think against like an elite defense, probably the best defense in the world,
best scoring defense in the NFL.
That's how can you just bet on him to just like really just exploit them, other than just being like it's Mahomes. That's the only. And listen, in some games in some spots it's been like a fair counter, but I just think like going on the road again, I made the point yesterday. It's the same exact line against Buffalo, but the team is so much better. I mean, look at all the defensive talent that Buffalo lost this year. I mean, I don't think their offense is as clean. I mean, they run the ball well, obviously, but I think the Ravens run it better. I mean, there's just so many reasons to like Baltimore, in my opinion, in this spot. They've
earned it.
I mean,
they're well coached.
I'm on the other side, but I can't disagree with
good.
anything you're saying. Like I completely agree with what you're saying.
The kicking game is good. I was in special teams. They have been good, even though they did allow obviously the punt return touchdown last week. Overall, they have been good. The kicking game's elite. There's just so much. They just don't have a lot of flaws, and they're just like they're good in the trenches. They get after the quarterback. They have a great secondary. There's just so much to like there.
I guess on the flip side, and I agree with everything you're saying. On the other hand, though, the Bills are a better team, top to bottom, than the Chiefs are. I think, but the Chiefs still went. Still went into Buffalo and won.
Yes, but I would say
Mahomes
close.
is such an X factor.
The injuries, I would say, to Baltimore or to Buffalo were big.
Absolutely,
they literally were out there with linebackers they signed off the shit pile 2 weeks ago that were injured. Like they just had no. Yeah. I mean, they lost all their best linebackers. I mean, Von Miller this year was a little non-factor.
Oh, yeah.
They lost Tre'Davious White, like all these guys, and they still were like in a dogfight with this team.
But the Ravens, other than the last week of the regular season where they had everything locked up and lost to the Steelers 17-10, the last game that they lost and was really a game was November 12th at home against the Browns. Since then, beat the Bengals by 14, took care of the Chargers on the road, double digits. Tough one against the Rams. They won at home in overtime, 37-31. Went to Jacksonville, beat them up. Christmas Day Massacre in San Francisco, 33-19. And then the big one at home against the Dolphins, 56-19.
Yep, smashing them.
Like they are playing the best possible football that you can be playing.
That's what I'm betting on. And even I remember,
and then in the playoffs, obviously 34-10.
And I remember even watching that Browns game. I remember betting that Browns game. I mean, they got I remember they got like a crazy like batted ball, like pick six. They had some crazy bouncing. Like it took a lot of like crazy shit to happen for them to even lose that game. But the game they shouldn't have lost. But like you said, even that game was fucking 2 months ago.
Yeah, but the 49ers game and then the Dolphins game back to back, I mean, that shows that if this Ravens team plays up to their capability and are prepared, they should win the Super Bowl.
I think so, too. I think they're by far the best team. Like I said, I would not be surprised if they smash the Chiefs.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if...
When I say smash, I mean like double digits.
Yeah.
Like, take it to them, handle them.
I would be a little, not like shocked, but I would be a little surprised. Just, I don't know. I'm not, I cannot, it's as simple as just, I do not want to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And if I'm getting 3.5 points, I have to go in that direction.
It's for that. I mean, I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if they smash him, and I laid the money line because I was afraid of laying the points. Just because I could definitely see a world where, like I said, it feels like Baltimore smashed them. They're up 10, and then they're up 10-11, and then Chiefs come down and score a garbage backdoor cover touchdown, and it cuts to 3, and it's like a 3-point game when everyone watching was like, the Ravens. We know what happened. The Ravens dominated that game, so that I could see. I was like, let's get on. Unless any last thoughts before we move on to Lions Niners. Anything else?
Let me get the sharp money for the game so far. Right now, the sharp money is on the under. 63% of the money and 28% of the bets is on the under. And as far as spread, no real sharp action, but there's some big money on -3.5 of the Ravens.
Makes sense. It's almost like I think it was almost like where I think as a gambler, I'm thinking like situationally and stuff. like I was all over the Chiefs last week, and I think sometimes you fall in love with a team, and you keep betting them. And I almost think like being like a sometimes like being like sharp, like smart, whatever you want to call it, is knowing like when to get off the train, kind of thing.
True.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
just feel, and I just my personal opinion, I feel like this is the time, like this is the week, like you've had a nice run with the Chiefs, like now switch and get off the train because I think I think the right horse.
Oh, what you were saying, little backdoor touchdown.
100%. That's why I laid the money line. I think, or honestly, a teaser. There, even I was thinking about doing this, which is tough. I don't know if I want to because I could like win one, lose one. But I don't hate a teaser even of like Chiefs 9.5, like Niners 1. I was looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I kind of just said I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens smashed.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hesitant to do it, and I don't know if I actually pull the trigger out. But it was something I was looking at that I was like,
It's not a bad.
I wouldn't fault anyone because if you believe in Mahomes and don't think there's any way that a guy like him gets blown out,
Right.
You're catching 9.5
Yeah.
with him, and then you need the Niners to essentially win by 2.
Which I'm much more confident in that second game.
We're just completely discounting everything we talked about yesterday with the ref and Taylor Swift.
It's true.
You don't think it's going to be a 1-score game coming down to it?
That's why I might do it. I might double dip. I might have to because I
like that tease
was looking at the
idea.
I like these playoff teasers because
Yes.
you see a lot of close games, obviously, and going to the Niners game, I've struggled with this one on the spread, but I just think the Niners are better. I do think they win, but I've actually had a harder time with the Niners Lions game in terms of spread. Now it's a full 7.
I'm seeing 7.5.
Is it even up to 7.5 now? I was looking this morning before I came in at like around like 9.
I got it at 6.5, and I feel very confident about that. 7.5 frightens me.
The fact that the line's moving that direction when I would imagine the Lions are getting a fair share of money, at least like split it if you want to split it if you can, you get that.
Yeah,
or you've got it already.
Yeah, we got a +7. The big money, no sharp action on the spread, but the big money is on San Fran -7. I'll tell you what, sharp action, big money, all over the over 51.5. And I love that.
Okay.
Assuming the weather's okay, Lions are going to fight. They're going
I would
to
think
fight to
so.
the end, and that means they have the firepower and the will to just keep chucking to Gibbs out of the backfield, to obviously Brown, to Laporta, who's going to score a touchdown. And even if they get in the red zone, they'll smash you with Montgomery. Like they're not going to settle for field goals. They're going to keep fighting for touchdowns. And I think the 49ers bounced back last week against a little worse defense of the Lions compared to the Packers. I think we're looking at a nice little 35-30 game here, 35-27.
What do you think, Clemmer?
Yeah, I'm big on the Niners. I have a 3-leg parlay I want to run by you guys. 49ers money line.
Okay.
McCaffrey anytime touchdown.
Okay.
And then Gibbs 40 or more rushing yards.
So I'm gonna guess that's like in the plus 140.
Almost exact. Plus 148.
Oh, good.
How about that, huh?
It's good.
So I think that's a pretty good. Because I think if the Niners win, McCaffrey in theory would get a touchdown most likely. And then Gibbs 40 yards. He's hit that number a number of times. So I like that play a lot. That's kind of my.
Not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna go 49ers money line. Lamar Jackson MVP, and the world doesn't end.
Oh, Smitty,
the,
you've done it again.
Oh, that just means the world's gonna end somehow. And
The world's not gonna end.
You lose your -160.
Oh no.
What's
no.
what's the actual line on Gibbs yards? Like what's his -110 or whatever?
Let me find out. Let me look that up.
Because they use the ball so well. Gibbs has become such a stud. That's another one too where
47.5.
47.5 makes sense. Gets a lot of balls in the backfield too. Montgomery gets a lot of love, especially a lot of.
I know that's what
And
scares me.
22.5 for reception yards.
He's such a playmaker. It's so funny that people they thought they were literally calling them idiots for drafting him, like morons. They got criticized so much for this draft, and they smashed. They took him.
He's been more impact. I mean, not necessarily Bijan's fault, but he's been more impactful than Bijan.
Without question. They took him, Jack Campbell, who was like Iowa middle linebacker, who's been like a staple for them in the middle of their defense, and then Laporta was like the second pick of the second round.
And then look at the draft play. Hutchinson,
three home runs.
I always pronounce his name. Penny Sewell.
Hey, Sewell.
Like he's a great.
They've smashed all their first rounders.
They've had really good drafts last year.
And I mean, even Trayvon Walker's been like decent, but I mean, he's not as good as Aiden Hutchinson. The Jacksonville passed on him. What everyone thought. A lot of people thought Hutchinson was like a no-brainer. Sewell's been
He's been really good.
One of the best offensive linemen in the league, like almost immediately coming in. It's so funny because I was thinking about that yesterday too. Because I was looking at some mock draft stuff yesterday, and I was thinking about. I was like, damn, it's so funny the way, like, the draft comes and goes, and like that week after whatever, like that. Basically, the moment of the draft to the week after, however long after, before the season starts, people just trash teams for their draft picks.
Yeah.
How horrible your draft was. Give the guys give their grades of their draft doesn't mean a fucking thing. It means nothing. So many of these analysts and guys were giving them got like a D+ for their draft. 3 home runs, absolute home runs. Went from not even playoffs to an NFC Championship game.
On the other side, though, people have been shitting on the Patriots drafts for years, and they've been terrible. So
That's true.
Sometimes they're right.
That is true. But I was just thinking.
I got to throw in a shot at Patriots with Duke's not here. So
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that's what got Belichick fired. Drafted terribly. But to go off Smitty, I was thinking of some more props for this one. I don't mind that parlay, actually. But I think Smitty said it before. I think Laporta touchdown, especially if you're expecting a ton of points. I mean, he scored 10 this year. He's already scored in the regular season. He scored in the playoffs. I mean, they love him in the red zone.
And you know who's calling the game?
Oh, the Marty Greg Olson.
Yeah,
Give him
credit for that.
Maybe a little Laporta Kittle parlay.
I'm seeing Laporta plus 145 anytime touchdown.
Especially when the total's 51.
I know.
And I think Smitty might have talked me into the over. It's going back and forth because those last 2 games, like, they both should have hit and didn't.
Yeah.
The Packers game did hit. The Niners should have hit, or excuse me, Lions. The first game they played, Rams. Rams should have hit. Then Niners Packers should have hit, and it didn't. Now, like, they're playing like this game. It feels like it has to go over.
Yeah,
it should.
51's a big number,
and both teams are capable of big plays at any moment.
Sure. Yeah, I don't.
Gibbs can take one for 80. Debo, assuming he's healthy-ish, like, he can take it at any time. Like, it's going over.
It's in where do they play? Not San Francisco. They play in I'm looking at the weather here.
It's Levi State.
San Jose.
Is it San Jose? No. What's the actual city? You're right. It's like not
Yeah.
It's a different city. It's like outside, whatever the fuck it is.
Well, San Jose at least will have
the new stadium.
High of 71, low of 53, and sunny. So the weather shouldn't be an issue. So if you're betting that over under, don't worry about that.
Definitely over weather.
I like that over, Smitty. I'm starting to kind of lean that direction. I like the Laporta play too, honestly.
Santa Clara. That's
what it is.
That's it. That's right. Santa Clara.
Do you guys ever? I don't like doing this typically. Do you guys ever use a tease for an over under? You know what I mean? Like bump the line a little bit, especially So
I wouldn't mind it for this game.
That's what I'm wondering.
If you want to say San Fran and the under, I don't hate that. Like a San Fran -1, and then I guess it'd be under 40 or over.
Or you can go the other way.
I know. I would do over. I meant to say over 45 or whatever it is.
Or you could do Chiefs plus 9.5 and then over 45, whatever.
Yeah, no, I like the San Fran -1 over 45.
Me too.
Because this is a game I'd be surprised if it didn't get to at least hopefully you get 44.5, 45. Obviously for all the people out there that push on tease.
You're not scared about how the last game ended? How the Packers basically had them, and then San Fran, they won the game, but it wasn't like.
No,
I am a little bit.
10%.
I mean, look, the Lions win that game. If they're in that position, the Lions win that game. Like, if the Lions are up by 10, and Goff has the same opportunities as Love, the Lions win.
That's probably fair. My only thing, I don't know how, even though the Packers defense definitely had its holes, and I do think the Lions do too. I don't know if the Lions would have defended quite as well. I also think you can see on the other side. I mean, the Packers dropped, in my opinion, 2, which should have been like walk-in pick sixes.
Yeah,
that had a big impact on the game. I'm just not the big. I've said, I'm just not a huge believer in Purdy, unless like his protection is perfect, the receivers are open. Like not that we haven't seen him make some good throws, but I think he's proven like multiple times, especially the Baltimore game. He really proved it. Like if you can get some pressure on him, he can be rattled, and I do think Hutchinson can do that. But I don't know if they can even do it at the. I don't know if they have like the plethora of depth at pass rush that even the Packers had, with like Smith and some of these guys and like Rashawn Gary.
I'm just saying more of a clutch factor than anything.
Okay,
I'm worried about the Debo.
I like Goff, so I could see it.
Debo potentially not playing. He didn't practice
That's huge
yesterday.
Huge.
That has me more worried than anything else.
And they're pretty much saying even if he does play, it's going to be
limited.
He's not going to be even like really close to 100%, which everyone's talking about this year. Like it's literally that last game with the Packers was the only game they won when he basically didn't play.
Yeah.
They were pointing out either basically 1 and 3 when he doesn't play, and they included 2 games where each game he played 9 snaps and got hurt, and one of them was this game, the playoff game against.
That frightens me a lot.
Like bad. Like he just has such an element to their offense that you have to prepare for in the run game, pass game. I'd imagine shows that when they do that, they can kind of put you can put your best guy on Ayuk. You can defend Kittle much better, and you can defend the run. You can defend the run better. Obviously, like McCaffrey's going to get his. We know that. Their offense is good enough. Like they're going to get theirs on some level, especially against a Lions defense that I think is like okay.
Here's a prop of Samuel play. Shoulder injuries are shitty. They are really, really shitty, especially range of motion when you're trying to go up and extend and grab a ball or basically do anything. That means they're going to try to give him the ball any way possible. Deebo Samuel rush yards if he plays.
But see, I think that's a scare with how hurt he is.
Yeah. What if?
But they're going to give him. They're going to give him the ball.
What if he on the first play?
That's what I was going to say. Like,
because
as a runner, he's not like your classic wide receiver. Like he's a physical runner.
Yeah.
Like him, he lowers the shoulder one time, he dings it. He might just be done. I'd be afraid to take almost anything.
That's what happened. You got gang tackled, and that was it.
I'm not even seeing a line for him right now either.
I'd be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spitballing.
I'd stay away from that. That just scares me too much. I don't have the cojones for that.
Yeah. So I think it's
gotta have big balls.
I was trying to think of some other one, even some other props. Kittle, like even like I said, not even just the funny like the Olsen thing. Kittle kind of has been. It's funny even the receiving guy. Obviously, Kittle's made a lot of big plays. He's got the big touchdown that really kind of sparked it. I don't even mind Kittle score, Kittle yards.
Kittle is plus 100. A play that I've been doing pretty regularly the last few weeks has been Amon-Ra St. Brown anytime touchdowns. That's plus 130. That's been mostly beneficial.
His over catches too. It's usually like 6.5, 7.5. They just feed him, and rightfully so. That's another gem they fucking drafted, man. He was like a 3rd, 4th rounder.
Over 7.5 receptions.
Stud.
He's the guy too that I feel like when you talk about like top 5, top 10 receivers, no one ever says.
No.
Oh, I think he's top 10.
And he should be. He should be in that discussion. He should be like I think no argument top 10.
I bet he will be now.
I think what happens is you see these guys that are like the Jeffersons and like that are like 6'2", that go up and get balls, make these crazy catches. Amon-Ra Brown just cooks you. He just dices you up. Just great route runner, good with the ball in his hands. He doesn't get the love he deserves. They got a lot. You guys see the funny the quote with Goff yesterday at the press conference or the podium. The reporter goes, he's like, you guys have a lot of great players on your team. He goes, thank you. He goes, thank you. And he's, oh, you're welcome. And he goes, but the Niners have a lot of great players. I was basically was like lines of like the Niners have better players. He was like, they have a lot of better players that a lot of great players that get more like accolades than you. He's like, well, never mind. So funny. Plays very funny. I love Jared Goff.
Jared Goff's great.
I would like. Oh God, I think the Niners are gonna win. I would love to see the Lions win.
I hate to deviate here, but the Eagles held a press conference yesterday with Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni, and a reporter basically asked Sirianni the Office Space question: "What do you do here?
What exactly do you do?
So if you're hiring a defensive coordinator to handle the defense and offensive coordinator waiting to handle the offense, what exactly are you going to do, Nick?"
What did he say?
Answer. He gave like a long-winded speech. He's like, "Well, the offensive coordinator is going to handle the offense. Defensive coordinator is going to handle defense. The head coach is going to be the head coach." Football team. So it's a tough question to answer, but Vic Fangio coming to handle the defense. Eagles get batshit lucky and get a defensive coordinator that's old, grizzled, and just handle the D.
Yeah.
Perfect for Sirianni.
You ask Frank about Fangio in Miami, though. He'll give you a different answer about how good Fangio is.
Of course, and his scheme's frustrating at times because he doesn't blitz, but he's the founder of the scheme and the best of it, and a lot of NFL teams use it. And if anything, the Eagles are going to be more prepared, which they weren't last year. And they're going to be educated, and they're going to be put in a position to win. And also, the Dolphins had so many injuries.
Tons.
So many
everywhere.
Injuries on defense.
Yeah, obviously the only pushback I see out of Fangio is that he'll just run his system no matter if the personnel fits it or not.
Yeah.
That's kind of his only flaw or whatever.
The Eagles on defense a lot of personnel issues on defense.
They do get a lot to fix.
They're figuring it out. All right, no more Eagles. That's it. They're done.
So, guys, have you guys, real quick, only 5 minutes before picks, I talked about mocks. Have you guys started diving into mocks at all? Mock season?
I look at them. The mock drafts.
Yeah.
I look at them because the Jets had the 9th pick. So I'm always kind of curious.
You said mock season. I'm like, mocks? M-O-X?
No, yeah,
Like,
mock season.
Mocks?
Well, see,
Varsity Blues?
See, Smitty's in a little bit different spot where, like, when you're in, like, the 20s, you're not, like...
Yeah.
No,
like,
I've never...
when I'm sitting number 6,
me
I'm,
too.
like, I'm mocking my ass
I'm like, I'm trying to learn more about like the offensive lineman. That's what the Jets are probably going to take. So I'm trying to get a better education.
I've never been a mock draft guy up until the week before the draft because so many things change.
Yeah, but you've had good teams the last, at least teams that make the playoffs mostly. Like for us, it's like it's the only thing we have.
True.
The Giants have drafted high a lot.
Yes, I mean
pretty much besides last year, we've drafted high the last like 6 years.
I'm hoping we get a good. We need offensive linemen. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one we get.
Everyone I'm seeing now, they got the Giants going receiver, which I'm not opposed to because it reminded me on the one mock I was watching yesterday on YouTube. Giants haven't had 1,000-yard receivers since 2018.
Jesus Christ.
And it's true.
Who? Shepard? Victor Cruz?
Oh God.
Probably Odell.
Odell?
Was he on the team? No, was he on the team even that late? Why am I drawing a blank? It might have been.
Might have been Shepard then.
I don't even know if he might have. I don't even remember. To me, I'm drawing like a.
Was it Steve Smith?
No, that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about way, way back. That's like 2012. Was Odell on the team that late in 2018? Give me the 20. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them saying Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze. Giants need a receiver. Bad, like a dynamic one. We haven't had one in so long.
Is there any chance you could trade up and go get Harris?
I don't think so. Because I think that a lot of people especially think that
It was Odell. 77 catches.
That's what I
1,000
thought.
yards. Shepard had 66 for 872.
It was close. I just think a lot of people think Neighbors is like not far off from Marvin Harrison. Neighbors is just crazy explosive, like crazy with the ball in his hands. Dunze's like special too. He's very good. So either one of them, I think they basically have 3 receivers going almost immediately after the quarterbacks. Like I've seen a lot where it's basically like 4, like Marv to the Cardinals, like even like Chargers take like Bowers or even maybe a receiver. I generally think there's a world where it goes like 3 quarterbacks, 3 receivers. I don't think that's like the most outlandish thing. Because I think it go the 3 quarterbacks and then Cardinals need a receiver. With Mike Williams being hurt or being potentially gone. Chargers even could go Bowers a receiver. I think Giants receivers very in play.
Yep.
Receiver, I think it's receiver tackle. That's it. Unless like there's a world where one of the quarterbacks fell to 6 and maybe they loved him that much. I know Shane's been looking at all the quarterbacks.
I've seen some mock drafts that the Giants take an offensive lineman.
And Joel, I think would make sense. Like I could see Alter, one of the like Neighbors or Dunze. I think are the most.
I hope you don't, because I want as many options for the Jets as possible.
fair. I think those are the most likely 3. But we only have a couple minutes left. We'll get into picks.
One quick prop from the Chiefs game that I think I'm going to take: Hardman over 10 yards receiving. I think they go back to him. I think Andy Reid gives him a chance.
Hardman, how many yards?
10 yards.
Oh
I
man,
don't hate that.
yeah.
Give him a play, give him some feet wet.
Sprinkle a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess from your
Plus 100.
I don't
from
mind
your
that.
time with Reid, would that be a very Reid thing to do?
It would be a
you think?
very Reid thing to
To like
do.
go back to him after he just almost cost you your fucking season.
Hardman's gonna get a chance. Whether he
Makes
takes advantage of it, great. And for 10 yards, I think I'm gonna take that chance.
All right, for now, Smitty, go ahead with your card.
We got Sixers action at the Pacers over 237. Tyrese Halliburton's out though, so be wary of that. But I'd like it. I think they're going to go up. Canadians Isles over 6.5. That's plus 100. Also Columbus Blue Jackets money line today in Calgary. Look at it, plus 160.
Go ahead, Clemmer.
Big Alabama win last night. We're back.
There we go.
Baby.
Huge. What a cover.
Oh man.
That shot at the buzzer.
Oh
I
man.
almost shit myself.
You guys were all on that, right?
Yeah.
It was but they were up big and they almost blew it. They were like tied. They were losing.
But Auburn having the 90% free throw shooter missing 2.
Oh my God! And then I knew the ball. After the game was over, the ball went out of bounds. They put a half second on the clock, and they throw it, and the guy buries the 3, but it was after the buzzer. Unreal! What a cover by Bama!
If that was 1 second, not 0.5, we would be
100%. We would have lost. That would have been disgusting.
I'm on the Sacramento Kings money line, minus 125. They're playing the Golden State Warriors. It's in Golden State, but they're coming off a back-to-back. I don't like old teams off back-to-backs, so I'm going to go with the Kings here.
I'm going to go. I really have two that I'm going to North Texas +2. That's what I like the most. I like them at home in the spot. They're playing SMU. They've been very good at home, beat some good teams at home. And we're going with Merrimack -2.5. Those are the plays today. Like the stream. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Our final thoughts on the NFL games, whatever's going on. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you. God bless. Boss Radio is up next. We'll see you tomorrow. Like the stream.